So, as we saw last turn, Alexander's attacks were rather powerful, and the Persians had a unit shattered. So the unit shattered was average heavy cavalry, which is worth 3, so the fighting value of the Persians goes down by 3. So they're now at 52. So they're still in the 50s, so they still get their 5 commands as they did last turn. So basically what we do from here on in the game is just follow that same process. So you get your commands, you activate your zones, you do your movement, you do your attacks, then the other side does theirs until we get to the point where either the armies run away from failing a morale test, or we get to the end of the 10th turn and the battle finishes. That's pretty much it. It's a lot easier than you'd think from looking at the size of the rulebook, and yeah, it's quite fun. So just to give you an example of some of the other options you've got for movement, so as we said before, it usually costs 2 commands to activate a zone. You can also activate units within a zone at a cost of 1 command, or you can double move units. So say these chaps here, normally their movement is 2, so they would go 1, 2, or they could move 1 and turn to face. In this case, we're deciding we want to get them down here to threaten Parmenio. So their normal movement would stop there. We can pay 1 extra command to move them into there and turn them. So that's a double move. That costs 2 commands. Then we could follow up by moving this zone here into there at a cost of 2 commands, and suddenly Parmenio's looking a bit more under threat than he was before. So those would be some options for the Persian player trying to arrest his slide. The other thing, of course, would be to he could try and withdraw these cavalry units into the rear zones and bring across the hoplite infantry to try and shore up his flank, but it's probably may not be, the payoff may not be very great. Probably the best thing to do would be just to advance into here and just try and break through in the centre and score some victory points that way. So when you get to a point where the army has routed, one army has routed, and it comes time to work out who won, it's a little bit more complicated then, because we've got to bring in a handicap. So that's where we go back to the original fighting values again. So 55 plays 74, so the difference between the two armies is 19. So that 19 is tripled, and that's given as a handicap bonus to the weaker army. But the handicap bonus can be a maximum of half the fighting value, half the entire fighting value of the stronger army, which in this case 74 halved is 37, so the maximum handicap the Persians could get would be 37. So they'd get 37 points, then they would tally up. So for each enemy unit that they spent, they would get the fighting value of that unit added on to their victory points. So say 3 average units, that would be 3, 6, 9. So that would be 37 plus 9 for those ones. We've got spent average light cavalry here. That would be a further plus 3. Let's say we had a shattered veteran heavy infantry unit. Shattered units are worth double their fighting value in victory points, so that would be a further 8 points each. So that would be 16 points to the Persian tally all told. Then the Alexandrian army would do the same, follow the same process to work out how many victory points the Macedonians scored. Then you would compare them to find out which side got the victory. So it's very possible for the weaker army to get thrashed on the table, but to actually win on the handicap system. So it's a work of genius, really. That's probably the best part of the game, being able to make completely unbalanced scenarios balanced through the handicap system. So to win the game, the weaker army needs to do more damage by spending units, by routing units, and by shattering units than their historical counterpart did. So yeah, that's about it. It's a great game. Give it a try, and it's not nearly as daunting as it looks when you open the box. Hope this has been helpful. If not, too bad. Thanks.